Welcome to our In Focus tonight, Hillcrest Follies. Did you know the Hillcrest High School Theater is set to be torn down? Well, it's happening this year as part of a school-wide remodel, and there will be one last production, the Stephen Sondheim production Follies. It's a story of performers reuniting ironically at a theater that's about to be demolished, and while they're on stage, they get visited by their younger selves. So joining us right now is Josh Long. He's the theater teacher at Hillcrest High and director of Follies. And next to Josh is Shelby Gist. Shelby, thank you. You're one of the graduates who came back, so really thank you for doing this play, and thanks for both of you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Josh, let's start with you. I got to say, there's no better place than a production, a musical like Follies to take place right there right there at Hillcrest.
Yeah, everything has kind of lined up perfectly. We got this idea a year ago when we heard about the dates of when the auditorium was going to be torn down, and that auditorium has been there for 65 years and has kind of been the center of kind of culture there in Midvale. And we knew we wanted to do something really special before that left.
Well, for you, you know, I'm gonna keep with you right there, Josh. You talked about the years and the history there. For you, what is it like being a part of that theater?
Oh my gosh. I've been working at Hillcrest for 15 years now, and there was a very strong tradition when I arrived and was hired there with the performing arts, and these gigantic musicals that have 200, 300 students involved in the musicals. And so it was a big task to jump in there 15 years ago, and then it feels like I've only been there for 15 years, even though that's been a long time. But it's been really neat on this production to work with some alumni that I worked with in my first few years there, but then also a bunch of alumni that I had never met that were from before my time. Well,
let's talk about some of those alumni real quick, because you got one right next to you, Shelby.
Yes.
Shelby, you're a graduate in 2014 here. What's it like for you to come back and be a part of this production?
Well, for one, it's wonderful and amazing, and for two, it's one of those moments where you kind of look around and you remember all of the memories and all the things, and and this boy I liked, and I saw him here, and my best friends and I, we used to sit here and try and fall asleep during our lunch breaks and stuff like that. So not only is it super fulfilling as an artist, but just for my high school self to go back and celebrate.
Sounds like a lot of nostalgia there.
A lot.
All right, well, Josh, let's talk about the dynamic, because there's various Huskies that are on stage. You've got older ones that have graduated. You've got the younger students. Yeah. What's that dynamic like?
Well, I think it's a really spectacular educational setting, particularly for the younger kids. Our current students are playing the ghosts of the younger selves of all the older alumni. And this is their big final show, the students lots of them are graduating this year. And so they've had the opportunity to work with all of these adults, and some of them are professional performers now, and work with them on creating their characters together, since they have to play the younger version of that. And I was actually a little bit worried that these kids were going to feel like, oh no, it's our big senior show and we have to share it. But I was talking to them. We opened last night, and I was talking to some of them this morning, and all of them said, this is my most favorite thing I've ever done. And it's
well, let's get to that in a little bit here. So save some of this stuff here, Josh. We're going to be here for a long time here. All right, Shelby, one of the things I want to talk to you about is, you are a graduate. So what's it been like kind of coaching these kids as they're going through, well, kind of living all these memories yourself?
It's fascinating. I graduated from Utah Valley University and got my bachelor's in theater arts with an emphasis in direction. So it's nothing new necessarily working with actors, but working with people that I went to high school with, and people who went to high school with my mom, and people who went to high school with my younger sister. It's interesting just based on life experience and what they remember from being here and thinking about their younger selves. It's so interesting, just all of their different thoughts and experiences.
Oh, wow. Josh, now the play's going through Saturday here. So what's your thought process when you decided this play, Follies, was going to be the last production in this theater?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Stephen Sondheim, he wrote the music for this show, and he's kind of known as the ultimate in musical theater writing, and I've always been a big fan. his stuff is very, very difficult. And this particular show that deals with growing older and aging and regret and things like that, I've always had a big part of my heart for that show, but I always felt like we can't really do that with high school kids because there's so much they don't understand yet about that process. When we just started getting this idea to do something special for the auditorium, and then I thought about Follies, and I was like, that show is literally about people coming back to a space that's about to get torn down.
So I take it there was no other consideration for other plays.
Yeah, once we got the idea, we're like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We were a little bit worried about with COVID, of course, like, are we going to be able to gather people? All
right, well, yeah. Shelby, I've got about 45 seconds here, so I want to talk to you. What's this like doing all of this amidst the pandemic? You've got masks, you got social distancing or physical distancing, whatever you want to call it. What's this been like for you putting this production together?
Oh, wow. Well, for one, we're all very safe. We're wearing masks all the time. We're making sure all of that goodness is followed. We're tested every 2 weeks, especially right before dress rehearsals, so that when we take off our masks, we're all, well, I don't take off my mask, I'm not a performer, but when the masks come off, everybody's safe. But everyone's been really responsible and taking it seriously, so that way we could do this for people and to bring them back to the theater.
All right, well, Shelby, thank you for joining us. And Josh, right after the break, we're going to dive into some of this stuff that we were just talking about. And we're going to talk about tickets and if they're still available. And you're going to hear at home from a former student who's a part of this show. So stay with us right after the break. And welcome back to our In Focus discussion tonight, Hillcrest Follies. We started the conversation with Hillcrest Theater Director Josh Long just before the break. And joining him right now is Keri Hughes. Keri is from Hillcrest. She's from the class of 1993, and she plays one of the older characters in the play Follies, or musical Follies, I should say. So Keri, thanks for joining us, and Josh, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
All right, Keri, we're going to start with you. How did you get involved in this play?
I saw a post on Facebook just by chance that Hillcrest was going to do a student alumni show, and a show that I have always loved that I've never seen produced. It's not produced very often. So it was something I really wanted to be a part of. It's such a busy time with children and with COVID, and I did a lot of thinking about it, but I thought this is really special. And this is something that I should make time for.
Well, let's talk about that being very special. Talk to me personally, Keri. What kind of emotions were going through your head and through just yourself while you're rehearsing the play?
Well, walking back into Hillcrest was so interesting because even though I've studied music and theater in college and professionally since then, I still felt some of those insecure feelings that I felt as a teenager, just wanting so much to be good and to be approved of and to do well in theater and to do well on that stage. And all the excitement and all the joy of doing theater there came back, as well as some of the insecurities.
Well, I approve of you, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Josh, when you hear something like that, when you hear this coming through a former student, what's that mean to you from the heart?
Well, it's, first of all, like what I hear, and I've heard a few of the alumni talk about similar things like that, and the first thing that hits me in a weird way is how appropriate that is for this show, because it's one of those things that Stephen Sondheim was really exploring in this musical is how those insecurities and things that we have with us when we were younger, how sometimes they travel with us as we grow older. And the different approaches we can take as human beings with dealing with those things, and that relationship between our current selves and our younger selves. That's what he's exploring in this musical. And so hearing, we talked to a lot of these alumni when they first showed up to audition, and lots of them were saying things like that, and it was this kind of these surreal moments of art imitating life and vice versa.
Well, my therapist would tell me, a lot of things happen when you're younger and you take it with you, and it takes things like this to kind of bring that stuff back up.
Yeah.
So anyways, well, Keri, let's get back over to you, because we're talking about being on stage again and being back in high school. And so you're going to be on stage pretty soon. Are you nervous a little bit?
I am. I'm nervous and I'm excited. I want to do well for all of the kids that are at Hillcrest now who are amazingly talented. I want to honor all of their hard work. I want to do something that I love really well. I don't do it very often anymore. So this is a special chance to revisit a joy and a passion that I have in my life.
Keri, I probably should have started this whole thing off with this question, but who is your character and who's the young person that's playing your younger self?
Well, Carlotta Campion is the name of my character, and she is possibly one of the more famous people returning to this reunion, had a movie career and is now on television and coming back to the theater where she was a Follies dancer. Her character doesn't interact with a ghost, with a younger self. So that's a little different. It's not as much as some of the other characters that do.
So hopefully she's a newscaster from ABC4. No, I'm just joking here. So Keri, tell me about acting. How can a play like this inspire this younger generation into getting into theater and having theater be a part of their life?
I think when you see theater at the quality that Hillcrest does it, that inspires a lot of young people just to want to be part of something that's really, really good. I remember I saw my first Hillcrest show when I was in junior high, and that is when I decided that I wanted to study music and theater. I thought, I want to be a part of that. So I think just the heart and soul that goes into the productions and the quality that these productions are executed at is really inspiring to young people to see that theater can be a part of their life. Most of these kids probably won't go on to do it professionally, but they will remember just the joy and the artistry and the creativity of their time in high school. And that's a worthwhile part of anyone's life.
Well, it's got to be worth part of your life because you get to go back on stage for the final performance. So Keri Anderson Hughes, thank you for coming on to the show tonight. We really do appreciate it. Josh, he'll be with us right after the break, and we need to take that other break right now. So when we come back, we'll be joined by a current Husky theater student. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Welcome back to our In Focus discussion tonight. Hillcrest Follies. Hillcrest Theater Josh Long is still with us, and joining him right now is Maxwell Abbott. He's a current student at Hillcrest who's set to graduate this year. Congratulations, Maxwell, for being with us tonight and on graduating.
Thank you.
All right, Maxwell, let's start with you. Tell me what really inspires you to do a show like this.
Yeah, well, the theater program at Hillcrest is very special, which is apparent in that we have so many alumni coming back to rejoin us and be a part of it again. And it's just so special, and we love this program and we love this space that we've been creating art for many years, and we want to give it a good send-off. So.
I can hear you getting a little emotional there, so let's change the script a little bit. Tell me more about your character. Who is he?
Sure. Yeah, I'm playing the younger version of Ben, who is a character who comes back to the theater where he spent his younger days, and young Ben kind of comes to him and as a memory, and we see Ben kind of relive his past life of when he was younger and some of the choices that he made / regrets. So.
All right, Maxwell, you haven't had a normal school year, and I know Josh has helped you along with that. Tell me about this school year. How did you keep up with everything and still manage to be in this play?
Yeah. Well, this school year has been really different, obviously. Masks, social distancing, as well as we've had many opportunities taken away, but we've also had many opportunities given to us that we wouldn't have had otherwise, and I think we're all very grateful for that.
And you're graduating soon. I'm going to keep saying that over and over and over again, Maxwell. Josh, when you do a play like this, do you talk about symbolism and what this can mean for students and all these people that are involved in this musical?
Oh yeah, I love stuff like that. Yeah. We talk a lot about it in class with the kids. We have lots of discussions. Some days we, instead of rehearsing, we just sit down and talk about what the different things mean in, like you said, the symbolism and other things in the show. And then we talk with the cast, and then we also put together these kind of like pre-orientation videos for audiences so they can know kind of what symbolic things to be looking for, because Sondheim is very layered. He has a whole lot of stuff that he puts in his scripts. And so we do lots of that stuff for the audience, and then we encourage audiences afterwards to be talking about it with their students and their family that are in it. And it's just, it's so fulfilling. It's so great.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna sidebar you here a little bit, because when you get to be a part of a play like this, you've got a student who got an award, a really big award for doing a play. Tell me more about that and how Maxwell could be one of those future kids.
Oh, yeah. Max is very talented. Very good. Yeah, no, we've had lots of kids who've gone on and done so many great things. Yeah, I think the one specifically you're referring to is a young actress named Malia Morley at the time. Now her last name is Mackey, and she won the Utah State the Best Actress in a High School Show award about 10 years ago. And then she went on to the national level and competed at the Jimmys, which is kind of the student equivalent of like the Tony Award, and she was selected to win one of their Best Actress awards there.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And then now she's back and she's in this production. She's doing a kind of a special number with her little brother, who did many shows in our auditorium as well.
So we've got our own future Tony Award-winning actress right there in your show. So talk about your show. It started last night. What's the response been like?
Oh my gosh, it was oh man, I just wish everyone could be there, because it was like electric and so emotional, and there were just so many alumni in the audience, as well as other like audience members that didn't really have a ton of connection to the auditorium, just experiencing this story that, as Keri mentioned, it's one of the great legendary musicals in the canon of musical theater, but it is very, very difficult to do because of the casting. It is not done very often. It's a little bit of an avant-garde musical. It has some really interesting structural things that happen in it that are not normal. And so it's not usually picked up by community theaters and regional theaters and stuff like that. And so watching the audience respond to it, not knowing what to expect, and just like screaming with applause, like an appreciation in the middle of numbers, and tears all over the place. And it was just the energy in the room last night was such an appropriate send-off to that space, which has been so special to so many people.
Awesome. Well, Max, being a part of all of this, does that make you want to continue being an actor after high school?
Well, the short answer is we'll see.
What's the crystal ball have in store for you there, Max?
It's hard to tell right now. I'm still making some decisions, and it's actually interesting. The show kind of explores that idea of different roads you can take in your life, and it's kind of helping me think through some of my options as I exit high school and get into the real world.
Well, take your time. Trust me, you'll need it. Josh, I've got about 2 minutes here, so let's do some rapid fire questions here. Yeah. Is there any limitations for audience members that are going to be at the show through Saturday?
Masks and face coverings are still required, as it is a public school setting.
All right. Sorry. And tickets. Yes. We've got to know, are there tickets available?
There are
Can
tickets
people
available.
Get tickets tonight?
Yes, we are only allowed to fill the auditorium to 50% capacity, but there are still a good amount of seats available. They're available at www.hillcresttheater.com, and that's theater spelled with a R-E at the end. Tickets are $10, and we've got shows tonight and Friday and 2 shows on Saturday. And we just want to share this with as many people as possible. It's really a special event.
All right, Josh, I got one last big question for you. When this theater all comes down, you've got 15 years invested in this thing, what's going to go through your mind?
To be completely honest with you, I've been kind of in denial about that. It's a space that I've spent so much time in. Second home, in some cases a first home for me for the last 15 years. And so I think putting this show together was kind of me and my coworkers, our way of saying goodbye. So I don't know what's going to go through my mind, but as the show Follies, as it teaches us, you take the next step forward, and you make the best of what is given you, and you go forward with hope.
And you've got something exciting to look forward to. You get a new theater.
Yeah.
So, and it's coming in October?
State of the art, yeah. We have a whole big performing arts center that's being built for Hillcrest, and it's almost done. And so yeah, we'll be moving into there. We got a huge auditorium and a black box theater and a bunch of different performing arts rehearsal studios and rooms and stuff. So it's a great place to be for the performing arts at Hillcrest High.
And in case folks are wondering at home, Hillcrest High's theater is going to be demolished sometime in June. Josh Long, theater teacher and director of Follies at Hillcrest High School, and Maxwell Abbott, thank you for joining us tonight. And congratulations on graduating again, Maxwell.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you both for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.